Hey, what is up, lovelies? It's Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and we're finally doing the natal chart comparisons and compatibilities with the four love interests that we have in Love and Deep Space. This is going to be a very interesting video. So I've tried making this video a few times now, and it it takes a long time to do each reading, so we're only honestly going to be able to do 4 every video. This is going to be the first series on my channel. I have stopped accepting requests on the Google form that I had put out, just because I want to be able to go through the whole list that I currently have and make sure that I get everybody before opening up another Google form, so that way people get an equal opportunity to get their reading done. So once your name is selected on the list, I will give you your reading, then I will remove your name off of the list so others have a higher chance of getting selected on the next spin and there won't be any repeats. I have a total of 88 responses on this Google form, so this video series might take a while to complete, but I hope you guys stick around, especially since I know that a lot of people wanted their reading to be done. But yeah, that is my short little explanation of how this video process is going to happen. I made a little wheel here, so everything's going to be randomized. And now I kind of just want to explain how natal charts work, because there are a few of you out there who commented on my previous video about this, that you guys weren't sure what natal charts were and you didn't know how they worked or how you can calculate like the compatibility with the love interests based on your chart and all those things. So let's go over a quick little run through of how that works before I jump into this video completely. So your natal chart, let's see, your natal chart is very much like a snapshot of your birth. So imagine the solar system, right? So you have all of these planets that revolve around the sun, but at your birth you become, or you take the place of the sun, and you take like all of the planets orbiting around you. You take a snapshot of where they're placed at that time in relative to the constellations out there, because the constellations are the zodiac signs. Like there are different constellations out there for the zodiac signs. So in relative to you and the placements of the planets and the constellations, that becomes your birth chart. And to calculate your birth chart, you need your time of birth, your location, and your date of birth. Now you need the time specifically because these outer planets, it doesn't really matter that much, but when you get to the inner planets, which is the most important when you're trying to calculate the compatibility, they change more often in terms of the placement on the signs, like what signs they are, because their orbits are very short compared to the outer planets here. So planets like Saturn and Uranus and Pluto, those take multiple years before they complete one orbit. So they actually affect a generation and not the individual. When you're looking at an individual, you look at the inner planets. So that is the Sun, the rising moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And those are what I asked in my little Google form that I had. So this is what a natal chart looks like. Don't get too concerned or flustered by how complicated it looks. We're not going to go over everything here. We're only going to focus on the inner planets and inner placements. So, but I just wanted to, let you know what it looks like. Alright, so let's just jump into what each of these placements mean on an individual. So your sun means, your foundation of your personality. This is like the building blocks of who you are as a person. So as an Aries, Silas is very impulsive and he's a fire energy, like that kind of thing. Then rising means how you come off to somebody before you actually before they actually meet you. This is the first impressions that somebody has of you before talking to you and getting to know you. Your moon sign is how you interpret your inner self. Like, you may have conflicting inner thoughts with what your sun sign actually is. So if ever you've, I don't know, been told that, oh, you shouldn't be emotional because you're an air sign, but you do feel emotional and feel very strong emotions a lot of the time, it's probably because you have a water sign in your moon. And then you have Mercury. That's how you converse with other people on an external level, how you talk to other people, use technology. That is the placement of Mercury. Venus is what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel at home somewhere or feel comfortable in a relationship. And Mars is how you deal with conflict. So what I just told you now is the understanding of these planets on an individual, like on an individual level. But when you're doing a compatibility with somebody, you're gonna want to understand what the sun and moon is and compare it to your partner. So your sun, you would cross it with the moon of your partner to see if you can understand how to comfort them when their emotions are running rampant, or vice versa, how you can understand how to make your partner feel happy or loved. So that is how you understand the sun and the moon. And then in a relationship, you would then look at Venus and Mars. So your Venus is technically what you look for in a relationship. So Silas is actually looking for a Taurus, somebody who exudes the characteristics of a Taurus. So somebody who is stable and someone who is not necessarily materialistic, but somebody who probably has the love language of giving gifts, like that kind of thing. Whereas he, in a relationship, exudes the Capricorn. So if you have Capricorn in your Venus and you're looking for somebody who can provide you with stability, and Silas has Mars in Capricorn, then that means that that's a good match. Let's see. I think that is pretty much it. I know that was a little bit more lengthy than I wanted it to be as an explanation, but this is just for the lovelies out there who don't know what natal charts are or birth charts. Okay, so let's dive into this. I will try to put timestamps so that way people can jump to the next, what's it called, reading. And yeah, let's do the first spin. So let's go. Okay, alright, so Mina, your number 67. Let us pull up your birth chart. Let me just type this in, number 67. Alright, Nina. And then I'll take a picture of your chart here. So you're going to see it change a little, different colors now. Alright, now I can bring this over. And Nina, this is your chart. I'm very excited. This is perfect, like the way this works. Okay, so you have sun sign in Taurus, rising ascendant sign in Gemini, moon sign in Gemini. Wow. Mercury sign in Taurus, Mars in Taurus, Venus sign in Gemini. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay, let's start with your Taurus sun. So, you know what? Since that's an earth sign, let's just pair you up with Raphael, since he clearly has water, like water heavy in his chart. So let's see. All right, so your Taurus sun and his moon is in Leo. Ooh, okay, interesting. You might find that Raphael might be a little bit too not exciting, too fidgety. I don't know how do you explain that. Like, he likes to do a lot of things and is very passionate about a lot of things. He might be almost like not a cat, but like a dog. In that kind of sense, like, he wants a lot of attention, he wants to be cared for a lot. And you, as a Taurus sign, you might have a hard time keeping up with Raphael in that sense. You may find it adorable, and you might love it too, but it might be hard to keep up with his energy. A lot of him is very energetic, very passionately energetic. And let's see, moon sign in Gemini, his is in Pisces. Okay, so your level of emotional, not understanding, but expression is not as expressive as what Raphael is. So Gemini is that's an air sign, so air signs tend to be a little bit more free-flowing. They don't like to be held back by anything, and that includes emotions. Not to say that you're emotionless or anybody else who is not a water sign is emotionless. You just think more, you're more in the head space, not necessarily the heart space. You know what I mean? Like, you probably think things out more logically than you do with your feelings. And that's perfectly fine. With Raphael, he is a Pisces, and it might be a little bit difficult to understand how to comfort you on a moon sign level, because Raphael's way of comforting is probably very, maybe touchy-feely. Maybe he is very expressive and loving in his way of showing you comfort if you're going through a hard time. But as a Gemini, you might want your space. You know, you might not want somebody who is clingy, because Raphael, I feel like, can be a little clingy. So that might be an issue but in your relationship. But let's see what you're looking for. Somebody who has Gemini energy, and Raphael has Pisces. He exudes the Pisces energy. So you're looking for somebody who has a free-flowing spirit, and somebody who won't be too bogged down by emotions. And Raphael is kind of emotion heavy. He has a lot of Pisces in his chart. So this might be a little bit too difficult of a relationship to have with Raphael. You might find him too clingy and too needy of attention because of this moon in Leo. So I'll probably rank Raphael pretty low on the list as of right now. And then let's see, Xavier. Let's move on to Xavier. Just because his Mars is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is also a water sign. That might cause a little bit of tension again, because whereas Raphael can be clingy, Xavier might actually be a little bit more jealous. And maybe not controlling, but he might not really trust you that much, because you might be the kind of person who likes to go out, who likes to enjoy being around other people just for fun, not meaning that you're gonna cheat on Xavier or anything like that. But Xavier, since he has that Scorpio here, makes him a little bit more it's hard for him to trust other people, which is really sad. And you can see that in his character in the lore also, like whenever he reacts to the MC, if the MC's talking about somebody else, like Lumiere, is jealous of himself, man. But he has that moon in Cancer, so that means he is very loving and very nurturing towards the person that he is going to be with, and this is actually going to nourish your Taurus energy here. It might actually soften you up, but you might feel a little bit a little bit controlled by Xavier here. So moon sign in Gemini and his is in Libra. Oh, you guys might actually get along well in this sense because Xavier, his core being is that he wants to be free-spirited, but he has parts of himself that conflict with that, especially on emotional level. He can be controlled by his emotions, but he wants to be a free-spirited individual, and you might be able to bring that out of Xavier and let him feel a little bit more free in that way. So Xavier is probably a step above Raphael in terms of your compatibility. So let's see Zane. So Zane is a Virgo and you are a Taurus. So both earth signs, both very stable in that regard. However, you are very air heavy in your other placements here. So let's just jump to your moon, which is a Gemini, and his is in Virgo. Zane might have a hard time comforting you. He might not know exactly. He might jump into too much detail of how am I supposed to comfort this individual? How am I supposed to? What details can I look into? And like overthink the situation, whereas you're just needing space, you know? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. What's your name again? Nina. Okay. So Nina, Zane might not understand how to fully comfort you when you really just need space to process the emotions that you're feeling or the conflict that you're going through. And that might be a point of conversation needed for Zane's Virgo to understand how to deal. And then vice versa, you're a Taurus and he is a Capricorn. Oh, that's excellent. So you guys will probably just logic out through your issues, you know, talk things through, probably make a checklist of the things that, you know, needs to be discussed, and that would work on that level. Let's see, his Mars sign is in Virgo and your Venus is in Gemini. Again, you're looking for more of a free-spirited individual. Somebody who probably likes to go out and enjoy life. And Zane might be a little bit too uptight for that. But that doesn't need to be the case. Although Zane has so much Earth in his chart, he can bend the rules just a little bit here and there. So Venus sign in Gemini, maybe you can coerce him to go out and enjoy life. But let's see, Mars sign in Taurus and his Venus is in Virgo. I think Zane would actually be more in love with you than you could be in love with Zane. Because I think you're a little bit more free-flowing than he is. You're willing to bend the rules a lot more than he is. So his love for you will probably outweigh your love for him in this situation. So maybe a step above Xavier, depending on what level of affection you're going to give Xavier. Yeah. Let's see now with Silas. Now Silas is very much like a mixed bag. So, Sun sign in Taurus, you, and then Moon in Scorpio for him. Interesting. He might actually bring out some of your emotions a little bit more. However, you might have a hard time of comforting him if ever he is feeling down, because Scorpios hide their emotions very, very far, far down deep. So it might be hard to understand how to, comfort him. Whereas he would have an easier time comforting you. You might actually feel comforted by his more impulsive nature and his exuberance in life, I think. That might actually make you feel better. It might not be what you would think you need in the situation or whatever situation, but it probably could work in that way. You might have a hard time understanding him, but he might be okay in understanding you. Now, your Mars sign, let's see, is in Taurus. Mars sign is in Taurus, and his Venus is in Taurus. Oh, that's excellent. He's actually looking for stability, and you exude that stability in a relationship. Wow. That is pretty damn good, actually. And then Venus sign in Gemini, and his Mars is in Capricorn. Ooh, okay, so you might find that he's a little bit stiff in his ways. Again, you're looking for somebody who could be that free-flowing energy, whereas being in Capricorn, they're not necessarily the most free-flowing individual or free-flowing sign out there. They are the father of the zodiac. They are also known for being sticklers for rules. So I don't know if that would really work out between the two of you. I think that you're probably the most compatible with somebody like, honestly, Xavier. Depending if you're okay with being a little bit controlled by his jealousy. But if you learn how to handle that, you actually have a really good compatibility. Sorry. You probably have a really good compatibility with somebody like Silas, Zane, and Xavier. But all of these relationships is actually depending on whether or not you guys can talk things out and explain your situations to one another. I think your best would be Silas, actually, because Silas has that wild energy in him with the Aries in his chart, and also the Gemini in your chart. That would actually blend very, very well. But he's also looking for that stability, which you can provide with all of the Taurus that you have in your chart. So Silas is pretty high up on that list. Then probably Xavier, then Zane, then Raphael. Yeah, so remember that this is just your natal chart reading. It's not the end all be all. If you don't love Silas, then feel free to love all of the other guys anyway. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed your reading, and let's move on to the next individual. Okay, next is close. Next up is da-da-da-da. Ooh, okay. Mina Hearts 23. You're number 32 on the list. So let's just type that in. Number 30. Oops. Number 32. Okay. Alright, and then I'm just gonna take that screenshot of your birth chart right here. Perfect. And then we're gonna put it over here. So Mina, I will call you Mina. Alright, Mina. So your sun sign is in Leo. Your rising ascendant is in Libra. Moon sign is in Leo. Mercury sign is in Leo. Holy crap, you got a lot of Leo. Mars sign is in Virgo. Venus sign is in Leo. Wow. Wow, oh wow. Interesting. You would go well with somebody who has a lot of either fire or air in their chart. Unfortunately, we don't have an individual who has that kind of that chart in our lineup here. I think your best bet is probably Xavier, just looking at this, objectively. Best bet is Xavier, next bet would be Silas. Least compatible would probably be Raphael, and then Zane. Yeah. So let's start off with Silas. So your sun sign is in Leo and his sun sign is in Aries. So that would work. Your moon sign is in Leo. His moon sign is in Scorpio. Okay, so this is where I see your first point of tension. So when you're going to comfort him, because your sun sign is in Leo and his moon sign is in Scorpio, you might have a very difficult time of understanding how he processes his emotions and shows his care for other people. So because Scorpios hide their emotions very, very deep down. So this might be a point of difficulty for you, just trying to get him to open up. His Aries though, and your moon sign is in Leo, is actually a very good compatibility here, since these are both fire signs. He'll have an easier time understanding you. When you're feeling down, or if you're feeling troubled by something, he can have an easier time comforting you. Maybe he'll like suggest to go on a bike ride somewhere, or something spontaneous that would actually get your mind off things. I think would help. Let's see. So you want somebody who has the Leo energy, right? Because that's what you have in your Venus sign. And he exudes somebody who is a Capricorn, because that's what he has in his Mars. You might find that Silas can be a little bit too strict, I would say, too businesslike, too serious. Whereas somebody who likes maybe a free-spirited person, in the terms of like going out or being in the spotlight for something, you might find that Silas doesn't really do that. Let's see. However, he does have Mercury Aries, so, and his sun is in Aries. Probably inherently he does like doing spontaneous things, but he might not be into the whole grabbing everybody's attention, which you might like in a partner. I think you might just enjoy somebody who is adventurous, and Silas can be adventurous because he has those Aries placements in his chart. Although it just might not be all the time that he's willing to go on adventures with you. So that is an interesting point. Let's see what he likes in his reading. So he likes somebody who has stability. Oh, and you have Mars Virgo, which is pretty stable. I mean, that is that's still an earth sign, and he's looking for an earth sign individual. So yeah, I think this is actually a pretty decent match. I think you would have a hard time understanding him in some aspects, but overall, if you have good communication with him, I think that this would actually work out and your differences will be settled. But let's see how you match up with Xavier. So again, the sun sign in Leo for you and moon sign in Cancer for Xavier. Okay. Same situation with Silas, but whereas Silas likes to hide his emotions and has a very hard time expressing them, Xavier might feel a lot of emotions but express them more freely. Cancers, when they feel sad, they do close up a little bit, but not as much as a Scorpio. However, they might be, if you're willing to, comfort Xavier by giving him a lot of love and a lot of affection, even as a Leo, I think that would actually work out very well. And him as a Libra comforting your moon sign as a Leo, oh yeah, that would work 100%. Like, there's no question in that. That would work, definitely. As a Leo who is sad, maybe they just need more time to spend with their loved one, more affections. Like words of affirmation might be one of your love languages as a Leo sign in moon. But let's see your Venus. So you're looking for somebody who exudes Leo energy. However, he exudes Scorpio energy. Interesting. This is where things get a little bit dicey, I would say. Venus sign Leo. So you're looking for somebody who can take that leader role, and a Scorpio can be a leader. A Scorpio can be a leader. They are probably the well versed in being leaders because they can hide those emotions. However, if you're looking at this from a relationship point of view, Xavier can be the jealous type, and I don't know if you looking for somebody who has Leo energy can deal with somebody who is a jealous energy, because Leos like to be in the spotlight, right? So you like somebody who can deal with attention. Scorpios, uh, very difficult. They're okay with attention. They're all right with it. Some of the Scorpios I know are okay with attention. It's when other people start crossing boundaries and lines on like touching their significant other or things like that that cause tension with a Scorpio. So I mean, very interesting there. Mars sign in Virgo for you, and Venus in Scorpio for Xavier. So he is looking for that emotional connection with somebody else, which is a little bit more difficult for a Virgo Mars sign to do, because, well, I mean, Virgos aren't really known for their emotional capabilities. They're more of a logical individual, so I don't really see that working quite well. So as of right now, Silas is your top pick. Xavier is your least compatible right now. Not least, second compatible, sorry. And then Raphael, he has a lot of water energy, and water and fire don't really mix well together. He wants somebody who is very emotionally connected in themselves, whereas you are not really like that. Mina, you like somebody who will give you all of the attention and all of the love, which, you know what, it could work. Having somebody who is really ruled by the Pisces energy as Raphael could definitely give you the attention that you may need. However, there is that very strong clinginess that Raphael has, which you could understand because you're a Leo sign in your sun sign and he's a Leo in his moon, so that's what makes him really the clinginess type. So you can understand him being like that, but you may not like his whiny side that comes with the Pisces. I'm not saying that all Pisces are whiny. I'm just saying that he has a whiny side, as we've seen in his memories, so that might actually turn you off. So he is very much ruled by his water energy, and you are very ruled by your fire energy. And water and fire don't mix well. Water dampens the energy of a fire. So, again, Raphael might dampen your energy. So I would say not the best pair out of the 4 love interests. But let's see with Zane. So Zane's very much ruled by his earth energy here, and again, you are very much ruled by your fire energy. You might be actually, Zane might find you very entertaining to be with. He might not understand exactly how to take care of you or how to show you affection, because he is not a man of many words. However, there is a flip side to this. Because he has so much Virgo, he would pay attention to a lot of the things that you do, and you might enjoy that as a very heavily Leo-oriented individual, because then Zane could start picking up on like details that you enjoy or details that you like to be complimented on. So it's an interesting relationship between the two of you. but it's a lot better than whatever you would have with Raphael, unfortunately. So sorry that Raphael is last. Zane is next. Xavier is second, and then Silas is number 1. So hopefully you enjoyed that little reading. But yeah, it's not the end all be all. I just want to make sure that that's clear in your reading. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave something down below in the comments. But thank you for listening, and thank you for submitting your Google form. Alright, off to the next person. Okay, let's move on to the next individual here. So I'm going to close this. Oh, crappers. I'm supposed to be removing names. Let's remove, let's see. Oops, close the ad. This was number 30. Sorry, technical issues, guys. 32. Number 32. So we're going to remove number 32. And then I think the other one was, I remember the name was Nina, 67. Okay. Alright. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So 2 names have been crossed off of the list. I'm going to hide that. We're going to put this like this again. Okay. Next person having their reading today. Da, 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 da. Okay, looks like it's gonna be Annie, number 38. Alright, let's go 38. 38. Alright, Annie, Annie, Annie. Interesting, very, very interesting. Sun. We have another Leo heavy individual here. Okay. So, Annie, this is your, let me see if I can write Annie, so I don't forget your name. Okay, so sun sign Leo, rising ascendant is in Sagittarius, moon sign is in Cancer. Interesting. Excuse me, sorry. Mercury signs in Leo, Mars is in Gemini, and Venus sign in Leo. Interesting. Okay, so you have quite a lot of fire in your chart as well. So my go-to for this kind of situation is pairing you up with Silas or Xavier. So let's start off with Silas again. So your sun signs in Leo, his is in Aries. You guys will get along smashingly. But if there is conflict on your end where you feel sad about something, him as an Aries may be maybe too blasé about taking care of you. Let me check the definition of blasé. I'm gonna spell this wrong. Blasé. No, blasé. That's not right. But let's see. It could be alright. It could be okay, because the more tender side of an Aries is that they are very passionate in expressing their love for somebody. So if you're okay with that as a Cancer moon, that would be fine, as long as they, put their attentions towards you. You might find that it could be a little bit too aggressive or abrasive, the way that he tries to show you affection. But to him, he's trying, so there is that. And then you being a Leo and him being a Scorpio is actually the same situation here, where it might be harder for you to understand his emotions, because a Scorpio feels their emotions much deeper than all the other water signs, the 2 other water signs. So, however, you both have fire sign in your sun and then moon in your Cancer. I think if you guys actually talk things out and got to know each other very, very well, then you would be able to comfort Silas and he would be able to comfort you, because you have that kind of understanding, having a fire sign in your sun and a water sign in your moon, which is two very contradictory signs to have in those placements. So very interesting. This could be actually a very good thing. On the surface level, meaning when you first get into a relationship or when you're first getting to know one another, it could be very difficult. However, I can see this working out on the long term if you guys, have a long-term relationship. Okay, so Mars sign. See, your Mercury signs are both in fire too. So, like, amazing conversations, very passionate conversations. Let's see, Mars sign, you exude Gemini, and he's looking for somebody who has Taurus energy. Geminis are free-spirited individuals. They like experiencing both sides of the world. So, both sides of a situation, really. Whereas Silas is looking for somebody who has stability in their life, who can provide stability in their relationship, really. And as a Gemini, I think that might be a little bit challenging for you to fulfill for Silas, because you like trying two things, like two sides of things, or all the sides of things, really. And he might just want to be stable and just go with the flow with one thing and just stick with that. So that might be a point of tension between the two of you. But let's see. So you're looking for somebody who exudes that Leo energy, somebody who is probably very commanding and very not attention seeking, like the center of the room, the center of attention. And Silas can do that with a Capricorn Mars. He very much exudes the boss, as we know that, like the boss energy, and that actually might attract you. So this relationship actually could be very decent, Annie. But let's go over to Xavier and let's see how you guys match up. Now I'm going to skip to the Venus and Mars here, because your sun and your moon for both of you are excellent matches. Because again, the same situation with Silas, where his moon is in water. Xavier's moon is in water as well, and it perfectly matches with yours. So I think that, again, when you're first starting to get to know one another, it could be a little bit difficult to understand each other on an emotional level. However, after a lot of conversation and really getting to know one another, it would actually work out very, very well. So the point of tension could be from the Venus-Mars placements. That's why I'm skipping towards those. So your Mars sign is in Gemini, and his Venus is in Scorpio. He's looking for somebody who is very emotionally deep. And being Gemini in Mars might actually make him feel that you're a little bit more aloof in the relationship, a little bit too airy, too flowy, too free-spirited. And him looking for somebody who is a Scorpio in that sense could be difficult. Could be a little bit difficult, because he may want that deeper emotional connection with somebody. And then, let's see. Your Venus is in Leo, so that's what you're looking for, but he exudes that Scorpio. So, well, I mean, a Scorpio can be a leader, right? But a Scorpio may not know how to open up about their emotions very well. And you're looking for somebody who is more upfront about, like, how they're feeling, really. So that might be a little bit difficult to be with Xavier here in this regard. Let's see. I don't know who you would actually be better with, if it was Silas or Xavier. I'm gonna leave that up to you. I'm gonna say that they're both interesting to be with. Actually, if I knew what your did you put what your MBTI was? No. Okay, so that's fine. If you're an introvert, I would say go with an introvert. But if you're an extrovert, I would say go with the extrovert. So that is a choice for you to decide whether you want Silas or Xavier. But their charts are pretty similar, and the way that you interact with both of them is pretty similar too. So I would say that you would actually be more attracted to Silas's energy rather than Xavier's energy. But Xavier could be a very close second. Alright, so let's compare you to our Raphael here. Raphael has a lot of water energy, and you have a lot of fire energy in your chart. Not the best combination. Fire will die because of water. So you might actually feel very oppressed kind of by Raphael. I feel like you're a very free-spirited individual who likes to try a lot of things, who likes to socialize with other people, and maybe be the center of attention, maybe, but it doesn't need to be that way. You may just draw a lot of eyes towards you, and then Raphael could be one of those individuals who is attracted by that, but his attraction may turn into a very needy emotion towards you, so that might make you feel a little bit oppressed, and that could be very difficult and a point of contention between the both of you. So I would put Raphael pretty low on the list as you're most compatible with, and then let's move on to Zane. So you do have that moon in Cancer, which would go well with his sun in Virgo and his moon in Capricorn. That would mean that, you know, you could nourish his understanding of the world and understanding of emotions. However, this Leo in Sun and his moon in Capricorn would be very difficult because your Leo, this Leo Sun could actually make him feel a little bit too, like he wants somebody who's stable, who can comfort him on a logical level, whereas you could be too passionate about how you comfort him. Maybe you want to comfort him through a physical sense, where he wants to be comforted through a mental sense, you know, a logical sense, and working things out that way. So that could be a little point of issues or a little point of contention between the two of you. And then you have your Mars sign in Gemini, and he has a Venus in Virgo. Again, you might find Zane to be just too uptight, you know, too uptight for what you're looking for specifically. And unfortunately, that is placing Zane second worst person that you could be with of the lineup. I think that your best bet would actually be Silas. But if you want to be more in love with somebody, go with Silas. But if you want that person to be more in love with you, go with Xavier. That is my little interpretation for you. If you like this reading, please let me know down below. Sorry if your favorite is not your partner. But again, this is just the natal chart reading, so you don't need to listen to it. But yeah, hopefully you liked the reading, or at least enjoyed it a little bit. Let me know what you think down below, and thank you again for submitting your Google form to my little video. Okay, so next person, this will be the final person for this video, because I think we've been recording for quite some time now. So it's been 51 minutes. Okay, so definitely last person for this video. Let's remove this, and then we're going to spin the wheel again. All right, we're getting through this. Nice. Okay, so Very interesting name. Okay, so 40, number 40, Doom. Okay, so Doom. Alright, so Doom. Right off the bat, I can see a lot of fire energy again. Wow, you guys have a lot of fire energy in your charts, lovelies. This is very interesting. Alright, so this is your chart, Doom. Let's see. So, the fire sign in your sun, Sagittarius. Let's see. Compared to a Leo, you are very free-spirited. Sagittarius people are very, very free-spirited. Rising ascendant sign is in Taurus. Interesting. Moon signs in Leo. Oh wow, this is a lot of fire energy here. So you exude the fire energy, right? And then you feel the fire energy on a personal level. And then your Mercury sign is a Sagittarius. My god. Oh, this is very interesting. But in a relationship, you're actually looking for somebody who is very emotionally connected. Wow, that's different. Okay. Mars sign in Libra. So this is the kind of person that you are in a relationship. Okay, so if we're going to look at the 4 candidates that we have, I would say that you might actually be very compatible with Xavier. So let's start off with Xavier here. Okay, so sun sign is in Sagittarius, his sun is in Libra. He would actually support you in all of your adventures, I guess. You both can be very adventurous. And then your moon sign is in Leo and his moon sign is in Cancer. Okay, all right. Interesting. Ooh, okay. So if we're going to cross-reference these, the sun sign that he has in Libra and your moon sign, if you're feeling sad, Xavier will be able to make you feel better. If there is something that's bothering you, or if there's something that makes you feel like repressed or in any way, Xavier's Libra in sun can make you feel alive again. You know, he'll be able to revitalize you. Whereas your sun sign in Sagittarius and his moon in Cancer, you might have a hard time comforting Xavier. If Xavier's feeling sad about something, you might be a little bit too off the mark about how to comfort him. Maybe come off a little bit too abrasive in ways, because fire signs are very upfront about a lot of the things that they feel, a lot about how they think. So please, if you're going to comfort Xavier, I would say, you know, choose your words carefully in this situation, because Cancers are very sensitive. Water signs are sensitive in general, but Cancer signs are quite sensitive. So let's see. Next, we're going to look at your Mars and his Venus. So he is looking for somebody who is connected on a deeper emotional level, whereas you exude somebody who is not that. So a Libra is very aloof, or I mean, they're very sociable individuals. However, they don't dive deep into the emotional level of conversations. They wouldn't talk about, you know, feelings or anything like that. They would probably talk about the latest gossip or the latest news, you know, around town. So I don't know if that makes this a bad match with Xavier. But let's see, you're looking for somebody who has Scorpio energy, which is so strange. This is a very strange matchup, because Xavier is actually the perfect person that you're looking for. However, he might have a hard time feeling that way with you. I'm not saying that you guys can't be in a relationship. I'm saying that there is a lot of conversation needed for this relationship to work, especially on your side towards him. So there's a lot of understanding how to comfort Xavier, how to understand how he processes his emotions, and but because you're interested in somebody who has deeper emotions, I feel like you would just benefit from learning from Xavier in this connection that you two could have. Let's see. Let's also then pair you up with Silas, because I pair anybody up who has a lot of fire energy with Silas and Xavier. So let's see how you do with Silas. So again, your sun signs are both fire. Excellent match. That's very, very fun. However, again, because he has that moon in Scorpio, which is a water sign, you might have a hard time comforting him. Whereas he would have a very easy time comforting you if you felt sad about something. So again, that's a point of where you guys need to talk about that. And then you are looking for somebody who has that Scorpio energy, but he exudes the Capricorn. You might find him to be a little bit too stiff, a little bit too rigid, and a little bit too structured, whereas you want somebody who can understand emotions, which is why I think you would actually suit better with Xavier in this situation. You could be in a relationship with Silas, however, there is much more effort that needs to be put into this kind of relationship with him. Whereas you having a relationship with Xavier could be easier. Now, let's see your comparison with Raphael. I mean, you're looking for somebody who is deep in their emotions. Raphael definitely deep in his emotions. However, because he has that moon in Leo, he will be very needy. And you may understand how to comfort him. However, you are also yourself a very free-spirited individual. And that might actually make things a little bit difficult in that sense. Especially on an emotional level, I think you guys have a hard time there as well, because you exude the Libra and he's looking for somebody in Pisces because his Venus is in Pisces. So you don't focus on the emotions, and Raphael is pretty much all emotion. So that could be a point of a difficulty between the two of you. Now let me just see how you do with Zane, because Zane is very much earth heavy, and earth and fire, not the best pair up, not the best pair up at all, just because, you know, fire burns the earth. Let's see, so sun sign in Sagittarius, his is in Virgo. He could be very much entertained by you, but you might find him boring. Yep. Moon sign is in Leo, his is in Capricorn. Okay, so let's cross-reference that. Sagittarius, moon in Capricorn. You might have a difficult time comforting Zane, because Zane might want to talk things out and take things apart and then understand each element, whereas you could want to do that, but you'll be more fidgety, I think, like more rushed to finish that so that you can move on to the next thing that you want to do. So that could be difficult. And then him trying to comfort you, you might not like how Zane would comfort you, because Zane again is very logical, and being a Leo moon sign, you'll feel things very passionately. You might not have the patience to deal with, you know, breaking down the situation, figuring it out, or figuring out how he's trying to comfort you. And then let's see, Mercury sign in Sagittarius, his Mercury is in Virgo. Again, you might find Zane boring. Mars sign is in Libra. His Venus is in Virgo. He's looking for stability, and Libras aren't the sign of stability. Libras are the sign of like jumping around and finding out all of the I don't want to say hot gossip, but it's like the energy of a free-spirited individual who doesn't settle down, and Zane's looking for somebody who will settle down. And then you're looking for somebody who's emotionally connected, right? But he doesn't exude that with his Virgo Mars, so that could be very, very difficult too. Yeah, so least compatible, definitely Zane. Most compatible would be, who did I say earlier? I think I said that you would actually go well with Scorpio. Oh yeah, you would go well with Xavier. Yeah. So Xavier first, Silas, Raphael, then Zane. That is what I believe. If you have questions or if you don't agree with the reading, leave a comment down below. It's remember that this is just your natal chart reading. It doesn't mean, you know, end all be all that Xavier is the only person for you. If you love the other love interests, feel free to do so. This is just, you know, for funsies. But yeah, so that is the very, very first video of the birth chart readings. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this, whoever stayed for all of these readings. I very much appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for submitting all of your answers into the Google sheet, and also thank you for all of the advice that you gave in the last question that I asked on the sheet as well. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. My voice is pretty shot right now because I have been yapping for a good hour. But yeah, thank you again for everything, really. Thank you for your interest in this topic. This is something that I do feel very passionate about. I love astrology, and I love the love interest from Love and Deepspace. So this is really fun to do. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, I am sorry that I can only do four people at a time, just because it does take super long to get through all of the love interests for one individual. But yeah, I appreciate your understanding and your patience, and I hope that you guys stick around for this full series, because we're going to finish the entire circle here. We're going to finish everybody on this before I open up a new one. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like down below, and if you have any constructive criticism, please feel free to leave that down below as well. If you want to join the Goblin family, hit that subscribe button. And again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. I am Lynn, the Gacha Goblin, and I will see you lovelies in the next video. Bye bye now!